Stop calling me. I stared at the message on my wife's phone. My stomach dropped. Who was telling her that, and why? At midnight. I wasn't imagining things anymore. This wasn't paranoia. Tonight I was going to find out the truth. Greetings, dear Pam Pam enthusiasts. Today we delve into a narrative that unfolds through investigation. There are several updates to explore, so let us delve into the experience ahead. What is the title? I, a man of 48 years, suspect that my wife, who is 41, might be involved in an affair. It seems we have an inkling of the direction this may take, yet let us immerse ourselves in the unfolding narrative. Lately, I've found myself grappling with the unsettling thought that my wife may be unfaithful, yet I'm at a loss for how to proceed from this point onward. I lack definitive proof, so I hesitate to address the matter with her, fearing that if nothing is amiss, it might lead to unnecessary complications or even concealment. It has merely been the little details and an instinctive awareness. Approximately 4 months prior, she embarked on a more rigorous workout regimen and developed a heightened interest in her appearance. She possesses a captivating beauty, yet she seldom adorned herself with makeup or invested time in styling her hair. She has begun to guard her phone closely, a development I recognize as a troubling indication. It's customary for us to browse through each other's phones, yet hers remains perpetually by her side. When I request her to snap a picture or do something similar, she insists I use my own device instead. She has increasingly found herself staying late at the office and has been embarking on several additional out-of-town business trips. Over the past 4 months, she has not taken the initiative for any form of intimacy, offering only brief, peck-like kisses. I made several attempts to connect with her, facing rejection on multiple occasions. There were moments when she allowed me to proceed, yet her lack of engagement left me feeling as though I was alone in the experience, as she simply lay there. It left me feeling truly awful, even more so than facing outright rejection. I previously mentioned the absence of intimacy, and she responded by expressing her constant exhaustion from the demands of motherhood, work, and her weightlifting routine. She promised to make an effort and to kiss me later that night, yet nothing has shifted. I find myself pondering whether this could be a manifestation of a midlife crisis of sorts. There is a man at her workplace who I suspect might cause some issues. My wife often spoke of him, but several months back, she stopped bringing him up. Yet I am aware that they continue to collaborate closely. It appears that he is a family man, married with children, and has confided in my wife about experiencing difficulties in his marriage. Our encounters were fleeting, and he seemed to overlook my presence entirely. We found ourselves amidst a throng of others. He pales in comparison to my attractiveness, and certainly doesn't match my physical condition. I say this not to boast, but because it's simply a fact. I possess a robust stature, while he falls into the realm of the ordinary, carrying a few extra pounds. Yet his flamboyant style and vivacious personality shine through, especially when he indulges in a drink. I find little pleasure in drinking, yet my wife has expressed her desire for me to join her for a night out every now and then. I completed my high school education, while he holds a master's degree. He earns significantly more than I do. I dedicate myself to training fighters, a passion that brings me immense joy. Yet my earnings remain quite humble. This individual likely earns 6 times my income and takes great pride in showcasing his possessions. I present all of this as my evaluation of our differences. The primary thought that has occupied my mind is this recent work trip, which took place at a tropical resort. At that moment, I gathered there was quite a large group attending. As it happens, it was merely my wife, this ostentatious fellow, and the CEO. The CEO, in his advanced years, tends to remain aloof from social interactions. He is entirely focused on his work. In the realm of my thoughts, my wife and this other man shared countless moments throughout that week, engaging in activities shrouded in mystery. I find myself in a quandary, torn between the desire to validate my intuition and the fear of igniting a larger conflict by confronting her or posing the question. Throughout the years, we have experienced our share of highs and lows, yet I can confidently say that my perspective on our marriage has been largely positive. There are no significant concerns or problems to report. I tend to be more reserved, and my financial situation isn't particularly robust, which has posed a minor challenge for my wife. She claims that I am not fully realizing my potential and suggests that I could earn significantly more by pursuing a different path. I don't wish to imply that she has an obsession with wealth, yet I recognize that women often feel more at ease with a more substantial financial cushion. She believes I possess the ability to pursue other endeavors, yet I find myself lacking qualifications beyond the realms of combat and the training of warriors. That has essentially defined my existence, or perhaps considering a career as a personal trainer. While none of these pursuits yield substantial financial gain, she appears to find contentment in them nonetheless. A friend suggested that I should hold my suspicions close to my chest and begin to take actions to observe and gather evidence, should it exist. Yet I find myself grappling with the discomfort of infringing upon her privacy. If she is unfaithful, I can't fathom a scenario in which I would choose to remain with her. I sincerely wish that my concerns are unfounded. Yet the notion of her infidelity begins to inundate my thoughts, compelling me to seek the truth, whatever it may be. The presence of our two children is what fills me with apprehension. My involvement in every aspect of my children's lives is profound, and the thought of seeing them only half the time would shatter my heart. I apologize for the lengthy message. I would greatly appreciate any suggestions on how to navigate this situation. With the groundwork laid, it's time to delve into Update 1. Here lies the latest information. I successfully obtained the login details for our cell phone account. Her phone was a constant companion in her work, and everything seemed normal until I began to sift through the numbers and times. Numerous messages flooded in to a particular number during the late hours of the night, just a few hours after we had settled into sleep. I intend to uncover the identity behind that number and devise a method to access her phone to discover the name it is stored under. Upon witnessing this, a wave of emotion surged within me, accompanied by a rising tide of anger. I attempted to convince myself that it might be an error, or perhaps just some friend of hers. Last night I took the plunge, bracing myself for the inevitable rejection, and I was cast aside. She expressed her apologies, yet fatigue weighed heavily upon her, accompanied by a throbbing headache. I expressed to her my sense that we were not connecting as deeply as I had hoped. She expressed her remorse and vowed to improve. She remarked that it was the final occasion. I refrained from pressing the matter further, simply wishing her a good night before retreating to my slumber. This morning she confided in me her thoughts of embarking on a girls' trip to Vegas. She refrains from gambling. I inquired about her companions, and she mentioned a few girls I had never encountered before. It seems they are acquaintances from university. Perhaps it's merely a coincidence, yet so many things seem to be unfolding in an unusual manner. After some careful investigation, I delved into the intricate details of the cell phone records available online. I observed that messages were sent to a particular number during the late hours of the night. They numbered in the hundreds. I dialed the number from a payphone, and it connected to one of her colleagues, the one I suspected might cause some complications. While she was in the shower, I managed to grab her phone, but the text conversation was the only thing that had been erased. Moreover, the number belonging to that individual was stored in her phone under a woman's name. I find myself increasingly anxious about the trips she took out of town, particularly with him by her side. I found it necessary to step outside and gather my thoughts in the fresh air. I managed to pull myself together enough to return home, yet I find myself uncertain about the next steps to take. Should I bring my findings to her attention, she is likely to dismiss them with an explanation. I find myself at a crossroads, uncertain whether to maintain silence and gather further evidence, or to reveal the truth sooner rather than later. My anger knows no bounds. I'm seething with anger towards her, yet there's an undeniable urge to confront the other guy. Resisting that urge will demand every ounce of my strength. I find myself troubled by the thought that she may confess to inappropriate flirting, yet I fear I lack sufficient evidence to coax such an admission from her. Do you have any suggestions on the right moment to address her? I plan to keep my distance while she sends her messages, and then I'll step in to inquire about the identity of her correspondent. Observe whether she speaks untruths to me. Very well, let us delve into the progression of this narrative with the second update. Last night, I remained in anticipation after everyone had drifted off to sleep. I feigned slumber, biding my time to observe whether she would rise from her bed to reach for her phone. Indeed, she rises shortly after midnight, slipping into another room and quietly shutting the door behind her. After a brief pause, I rose to my feet, swiftly opened the door, and approached her. I confessed that sleep had eluded me and inquired about her current activity. I intercepted her in the midst of her texting, looming over her before she could glean any insight. I observed her hand as it hesitantly moved to conceal the phone. She mentioned that sleep eluded her as well, and she was reaching out to a friend via text. I devised a strategy and embarked upon it. I positioned myself above her, leaning in for a kiss, and inquired if she was interested in exploring further. As I anticipated, she expressed her inability to comply. I couldn't help but laugh as I began to tickle her, playfully suggesting that she seemed more captivated by the girlfriend she was texting than by my presence. In a moment of playful banter, I engaged her in a light-hearted wrestle and managed to seize the phone. The fear was palpable in her gaze. She made an effort to retrieve it for me, but I averted my gaze and lifted it high, as if engaged in a game of keep away. I found myself laughing and pretending to enjoy myself throughout the whole experience. I informed her of my intention to reach out to this girlfriend and inquire whether she had any feelings for my wife. My wife exclaimed, "Please don't call her." I began to walk away, my fingers swiping through the text messages until I stumbled upon one that read, "Can't wait to see you tomorrow." I activated the call feature, and it felt as though time stretched endlessly. But eventually the man picked up. I found myself unprepared for the conversation, leading me to simply end the call. Next, I began to peruse the words laid out before my wife. I inquired whether she believed her girlfriend had responded or if it was a male who did. She remained silent. As I began to read the text aloud, I turned to her and inquired why she was sending such a message to a guy in the late hours of the night. She remarked that she was uncertain. I inquired whether she had anything she wished to share with me. She remained silent. Then I revealed to her that I had perused her cell phone records and was aware of everything. I was aware of the moment she would stir and reach out to text that guy, and I recognized exactly who he was. She broke down in tears, her voice trembling as she uttered her apologies. I maintained my composure. I conveyed that the ensuing moments held great significance. If she failed to disclose the entire truth, dire repercussions would follow. She mentioned that she began to flirt with her coworker, who was experiencing marital difficulties, and it gradually evolved into flirtation. She claimed she never engaged in anything with this guy. My apprehension lay in the possibility that she could only acknowledge what I had already discerned. I informed her that if she was unable to provide me with the complete truth, it was time for her to gather her belongings and depart. With tears streaming down her face, she consented, her voice trembling as she uttered her apologies. Just before she stepped out the door, she turned to me and inquired whether I intended to abandon her. I informed her that the hour was late and that we would address the matter at a later time. She departed for her mother's abode, and I have yet to lay eyes on her again. However, her incessant messages prompted me to switch my phone off. I intend to seek out a marriage counselor and schedule an appointment. I wish for my wife to believe that I am willing to take some time to resolve our issues for the moment. I will explain that I am attending counseling to navigate the process of separation. The entire incident last night unfolded just as I had envisioned it in my mind. As I engaged in playful wrestling and tickling with her, I felt the urge to shield myself. I captured it all using my phone, merely as a precaution should she attempt to level any accusations against me. I inquired with my friend about the legality of recording in our state, and he assured me that it was permissible. I can't imagine her ever making a false accusation against me, yet if I choose to leave her, desperation might take hold. I stand tall at 6 feet 4 inches and carry an athletic weight of 240 pounds. As a former fighter who now trains others, I find myself in a precarious position. Any accusation of abuse directed at me seems destined to be met with disbelief, potentially leading to arrest and the heartbreaking loss of my children. My intention is to document everything from this point forward, serving as a safeguard for the future. My heart is utterly shattered at this moment. My whole family has been obliterated. I will miss half of my children's lives as they grow up, and it leaves me feeling utterly shattered. Though I had my suspicions, the reality has left me utterly stunned. The most troubling aspect is that this is merely the start of it all. I feel the urge to confront the other individual, yet I must exercise restraint. I heard that he remarked I appeared quite terrifying upon our first encounter, so I intend to instill a sense of fear in him. I noticed that he called me the animal in one of the messages after she remarked on my lack of intelligence. While my financial situation may not be robust, and I lack a formal college degree, I possess a deep intellectual curiosity and immerse myself in a wide array of literature across various subjects. I may not be the brightest individual, yet I certainly don't consider myself foolish. I shall endeavor to provide updates as developments unfold. I find myself uncertain about the guidance I might receive at this juncture. I find myself utterly heartbroken. He vowed to provide updates, and indeed, he has delivered. Update 3. A friend of mine who is an attorney successfully recommended a lawyer specializing in family law. Moreover, it is said that this individual has also experienced betrayal, and these circumstances provide him with an opportunity for retribution. My friend shared this when he suggested the lawyer. He will be quite accommodating with his fees and sincerely wishes to assist. Perhaps this leans towards the brighter side of the balance sheet. Let us turn our attention to the opposite side. My wife confessed to the infidelity. She recounted how it began with playful banter, gradually evolving into a deep emotional connection, yet it never crossed the line into the physical realm. I perceived the truth behind her words, and eventually she confessed that it had escalated to a physical level, coinciding with the moment she withdrew from our intimacy. I received far more information than I ever anticipated I could handle. The encounter was marked by an intense heat and palpable tension. To claim that this has profoundly affected me would be an understatement of the utmost magnitude. I find myself grappling with my emotions, struggling to hold on to a single thought. I suggested to my wife that it might be wise for her to spend some time with her mother, assuring her that I would look after the children, allowing them to remain at home and maintain a sense of stability. My attorney is weaving his spell in the meantime. Within the confines of the house, he asserts that this presents a significant advantage. I have yet to reveal to her that our marriage has come to an end. She will discover that when the papers, which are forthcoming, have been served, the relentless images of my wife and that man invade my thoughts, refusing to be banished. I provide coaching in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for both professional and semi-professional fighters, dedicating my utmost attention to their development. The tangible nature of my work appears to have been beneficial. Clearly, I am dedicating all my efforts to my children. Beyond the realm of BJJ, I find great joy in exploring new subjects. Typically, I immerse myself in books for a few hours each night to relax. Yet lately, I find myself struggling to read even a single paragraph without my mind wandering. Upon realizing that they deemed me a foolish creature, I ponder the myriad of other remarks they might have uttered. The entire situation has truly affected me deeply. Once I was a beacon of happiness, but now that joy has slipped away. On a different note, news has spread about the recent events, and many individuals have stepped forward, eager to lend their support in any capacity possible. It certainly brings comfort to know that I have support. A few of my friends' wives have taken the initiative, expressing that they know some lovely women they would like to introduce to me. A handful of individuals who are familiar with me and are quite intrigued by my impending single status. I shall refrain from dating until this situation has fully resolved, and likely for some time thereafter. However, the awareness of numerous possibilities is indeed a comforting thought. I believe I will manage just fine. At this moment, the focus is entirely on the children. I shall endeavor to provide an update in the near future. My wife is in a state of distress and is urging to maintain our marriage. I'm aware that I can't move past her actions, so remaining together would only postpone the unavoidable. Proceeding to update 4. Amidst the chaos of life, I felt compelled to return to this throwaway account and share an update on my current situation. I uncovered the painful truth of my wife's infidelity, only to learn that she harbored a disdainful view of me, perceiving me as foolish and inadequate for not bringing in a substantial income. I have initiated the process of divorce, and it is expected to conclude by next month. We will share custody equally, and she will be providing spousal support due to her significantly higher income. The present legal landscape stands as it is. Next, we turn our attention to the subsequent consequences. My heart is shattered, and my children share in this sorrow. Never did I imagine I would find myself in the role of a single father, yet here I stand. My wife appears to be descending into a state of melancholy. The man with whom she had strayed concluded that she was not worth the hassle. According to what I've heard, she has begun to indulge in drinking and socializing with various strangers she encounters online. On numerous occasions, she reached out to me, pleading for a chance to return, yearning to reclaim the life she once knew. A part of me yearned for that, yet I have remained resolute. Upon discovering the amount she would need to pay me each month, it appears that this revelation has sparked a sense of anger directed at me. Thus, I am free from the concern of her reaching out. My children fail to grasp the situation. In every fleeting moment of their absence, a profound sense of misery envelops me. Loneliness seems to be my constant companion. I find myself spending little time with friends, preferring the comfort of home instead. The young woman who serves at my regular coffee shop noticed my demeanor and inquired if all was well, sensing a hint of sadness in my expression. It seems I may not be concealing it as effectively as I believed. There are acquaintances who wish to introduce me to women they know, yet I hesitate. I can't shake the feeling that I carry the label of the man whose wife was unfaithful. It feels like an eternity since I've navigated the world of dating. Recently, I witnessed several fighters excel on a prominent platform, and that has ignited a long dormant spark within me. I'm at a loss regarding my next steps. At some juncture, I must awaken from this reverie and forge ahead. It seems I have yet to attain that degree of motivation. I had someone I know reach out to the other man's wife and present her with the evidence I possessed. I simply couldn't bear the thought of him facing any harm. Since I cannot pursue him directly, this was the most suitable alternative. Initially, she found it hard to accept, but soon I learned of the significant marital troubles they were facing. To the best of my knowledge, they are still together, though their relationship seems to be facing some challenges. My heart is heavy with a torrent of anger that seems to encompass everything around me. It's astonishing to consider how life can be perfectly fine one moment and then utterly turned on its head the next. A silver lining in recent events is that I crossed paths with a girl, introduced by some friends, who has captured my interest. I haven't taken the step to ask her out or anything of that sort, though. Her beauty is breathtaking, yet she is nearly 14 years my junior. While it may not be a significant problem, the age difference is certainly noteworthy. Considering my experiences, I believe my confidence has truly taken a hit. I sense that her allure surpasses my own. She could very well be, I suppose, but she has been occupying my thoughts quite a bit. Thus has unfolded the past 6 months of my existence. I must admit this has been the most challenging experience I have ever endured. Once I was a beacon of joy, but now shadows seem to envelop my spirit. This marks the concluding update. Let us observe how he concludes the matter. To make a long story short, I discovered my wife's infidelity, which ultimately led to our divorce. Having shared nearly 15 years together, it would be an understatement to say that my new life has required some adjustment. There are instances when a wave of sadness or loss washes over me, yet these feelings are ephemeral. Overall, I feel fantastic. My children are thriving, and they spend a great deal of time by my side. Following the divorce, my wife found herself needing to take on additional accounts at work to manage her new single living circumstances, alongside providing spousal support to me. Her earnings surpassed mine significantly. When the pandemic struck, my schedule was remarkably adaptable, allowing me to keep the children close and engage in homeschooling. The pandemic has significantly hindered my work, which relies on physical interactions with others. Currently, there aren't many opportunities available for my team. In a sense, it feels as though I have taken on the role of a stay-at-home dad. After the entire ordeal, I dedicated some time to reflect and recharge. The younger girl who captured my interest embarked on an extended assignment with her company in Europe. We maintained our connection through the wonders of technology. Upon the conclusion of her assignment, she returned, and from that moment onward, we have been inseparable. She has a deep affection for both me and my children. She embodies a profound sense of compassion and thoughtfulness. Prior to our introduction, I had heard whispers of an extraordinary woman, one who bore a striking resemblance to Wonder Woman, and was renowned for her kindness, the likes of which one could scarcely imagine. It seemed almost unreal, as if it were a dream woven from the finest threads of imagination. Yet she is undeniably the genuine article. It seems that we may soon embark on new chapters in our relationship. My relationship with my ex has not unfolded as I had hoped. She began indulging in alcohol and engaging in casual encounters with strangers she encountered on the internet. The burden of managing additional accounts has weighed heavily on her. In just a few short years, she appears to have aged a decade and a half. She had always possessed a certain beauty, yet the last time our paths crossed, she appeared worn and weary, as if her very essence had been drained away. It may sound strange, but that was the impression it left. Her closest companion confided in me that she is deeply unhappy and difficult to tolerate. It baffles me how an individual who appears to be joyful and in command of their existence can suddenly descend into such a shadowy abyss. My ex's friend also mentioned that she never believed I would walk away after the affair. It seemed as though her substantial income granted her a certain power over me, instilling in her a sense of control. The affair bore consequences that she had not foreseen. I sincerely wish she discovers tranquility, especially for the sake of my child. Aside from a few challenges brought on by the pandemic, everything is going wonderfully. I am truly thankful that I chose to end my first marriage promptly instead of prolonging the inevitable. I understood that I was facing a challenging choice, yet I felt it was the correct path to take. Then I simply persevered through the grind. I find no difficulty in making gradual progress each day, fully aware that I will ultimately persevere. In such circumstances, it is essential to consider the long-term implications. Initially, you may experience a sense of devastation, followed by waves of sadness, then a deeper melancholy, and ultimately, a feeling of hopelessness. Yet regardless of the obstacles, you forge onward. Engage in rigorous workouts each day as well. Focus on accomplishing one task each day that enhances your abilities or contributes to your personal growth. Not the usual self-help material, but genuine skills. My journey into the world of short films began with the friends I train alongside. Through this creative endeavor, I discovered the art of videography and editing, transforming it into an enjoyable hobby. I delve into a multitude of books to expand my understanding of various subjects. I made an effort to engage in a daily endeavor. Little details accumulate as time passes. It is essential to commit to your efforts and embrace the virtue of patience. It seems we could have foreseen the direction this was taking, yet it appears to be improving for the original poster. Congratulations. I truly hope that the good vibes persist and that everything continues to improve.